Well, good evening, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It is the 27th of June, Sunday evening. Only about 35 days until we move into our new world headquarters here. So we're excited about that, and we'll have some cool things to share with you here in the weeks ahead. Looking at a recap here of last week on a world scale here. So this is mean temperatures versus last year, year over year. Here in the U.S., we're about 1.4 degrees cooler than last year, coolest in 10 years, 13th coolest in 36 years, so below average. Don't tell that to folks in the Pacific Northwest where they've been cooking. 27% wetter than last year, wettest in 4 years, third wettest in 36 years. Where it's been raining, it's raining, and where it's been dry, it's been pretty much dry. Maps inset left are trends versus average. Up in Canada, a little bit cooler, but still above average, driest in 18 years. Europe, a little bit warmer than last year, much above average there. Pretty much dichotomy of the continent there, but warm east, cold west. Russia, very, very warm, warmest in 3 years, much above average, driest in 8 years. China's also warmest in 3, but driest in 32 years. They're having some crop issues through their central corn belt regions, growing regions. Australia down for winter down there. A little bit warmer than last year, above average, a little wetter than last year. India, a little bit cooler than last year, cools in 3 years, but driest in 7 years. Brazil, a little bit cooler, cools in 4 years. They've had some frost down there. It's kind of their winter season. And the world overall, cools in 3 years and driest in 16 years. So again, pretty dry for most regions across the world. Real quick recap here of June. This is 27 days in the history books here, but so a few days left in the month. So a little bit of forecast in this mix here, but a good recap of June on a world scale. Looking at the preset map left here, just bone dry for the Pacific Northwest, Rocky Mountains, north central U.S., even the central Corn Belt, Iowa regions. Models have been predicting a ton of rain for the west central Corn Belt, and unfortunately, when it's dry, it tends to get drier, and when it's wet, it tends to stay wet. Also, when it tends to stay wet, it's a little bit cooler. So if you notice where it's been wet from Texas into the Ohio Valley and parts of the southeast, temperatures are a little bit more toward average, even a little below average. Where it's been dry, it's been very hot. Unfortunately, those hot, dry trends are likely to expand as we go into the July month. But overall, it was about 1.6 warmer than last year for the June month for the U.S. Hottest in 36 years. In fact, near record hot. So much above average temperatures. A lot of that heat was, again, western half of the country, north central U.S. U.S. about 6% wetter than last year, 17th driest in 36 years. So in the middle of the pack, just a hair below average on a national scale. One thing that's way, way down is tornadoes here. We're almost at historic lows in the bottom 15, 18 percentile. They're down about 30% below average, 19% below last year, and 64% below the epic 2011 season. So we're blessed in that regard that these things are way, way down. Something that won't be down is probably hurricanes. We'll talk about that in a minute here. Looking at this week here, the week before the 4th of July holiday weekend here, so hard to believe. A little bit cooler than last year, coolest in 4 years, but still 7th warmest of the past 36 years, so above average temperatures there. So pretty hot in the northeast and northwest, cool down in the south central Rocky Mountains regions. 27% wetter than last year, wettest in 5 years, 6th wettest in 36 years. Again, where it's been wet, it'll remain wet, and where it's dry, it's pretty much remaining dry. So again, a conveyor belt of moisture from Texas into the Ohio Valley, and another batch going through the Tennessee Valley into the northeast. So again, those areas will be wet and then pretty bone dry for the northwest half of the country, if you will. One thing we have to watch here this week is, again, there's a 50% chance of something, according to the Hurricane Center, developing off the southeast coast. This has been a system tracking across the Atlantic much of this week. Looks like it'll make landfall here. If it does, probably on the weak side, depression storm at best. But again, the Georgia, South Carolina areas here in the next couple of days need to watch that. And then another wave coming off Africa, heading toward the Caribbean. So Florida, you're still our top pick here this year for a few hurricanes. So again, just got to watch these systems as we're starting to get into the core of the hurricane season here. Looking at next week, again, the first full week of July, hard to believe here, but a little bit cooler than last year, but still 5th hottest in 36 years. So again, you can see that cooler trends where it's wet in the south, and hotter, drier trends where it's up to the north central, northwest. Overall, 27% drier than last year, driest in 3 years, 16th driest in 36 years, so below average national rainfall. So we'll aggregate all these trends here for 27 June through 10 July on a world scale. Again, pretty hot in the northwest, north central. That heat's expanding as we go through the period here into the northeast. Pretty hot across Europe, especially the Eastern Europe. Still a little cool there in Spain, and pretty hot across Russia. Preset maps versus average inset left there. So with that, folks, we hope you have a great week, and we'll be back here Sunday or Monday next week. Have a great week.